back to Waste Some Time with Jason Green. I am Jason Green. For the next hour, we are going to have a fun-filled discussion. Going to answer some of your questions and comments. There's a lot of things going on. I just got back from a show in Fort Worth, Texas, a show in Houston, Texas, where it was freezing cold. I didn't know it snowed there. Whenever I go somewhere, people tell me, "Oh, it's not normally like this. In fact, this is unseasonably cold." It happens all the time. I feel like maybe it's just me. And then a trip to the legendary Surf Ballroom, a place I've wanted to go for quite some time, the infamous location of the day the music died. And we got a lot to talk about with that. And new Stephen Piercy, Warren DeMartini shows just added, hot off the press. And there's plenty more. And we'll talk about all that and more right after this. Just wanna waste some time with you. Sometimes it seems too good to be true. Nobody out there to waste time with you. All right, my fellow time wasters. I'm glad you can join me. I'll get to your questions and comments in just a minute. It's funny. Wednesday sent me a video. Wednesday 13. He sent me a video of a clip, a short, a reel, if you will, from the Geraldo Rivera talk show. And the episode was Heavy Metal Moms, and Joey Ramone's mother was on it. She sang a little bit of Beat on the Brat. And we were sort of laughing about it. And so it occurred to me that I worked for the Geraldo Rivera show shortly after that episode. How cool would it have been if I was there when Joey Ramone was there? But and then I thought, I haven't really talked about my background on this show too much. And a lot of people have asked me to talk about my life. And what I thought about, one day I'll have one of my oldest friends come on and he can interview me. And for those who care about my life, you'll learn all about it. And for those who don't care, you can turn off and watch something else. But yes, so when I was 15 years old, I wanted to be an actor. I had an agent. Agent is the one who set me up with Trauma. And I worked on some movies with him, those kind of things. I've talked about that before. But around that same time, I had a friend who worked in a building, and Geraldo Rivera's offices were in that building. Geraldo Rivera, for those who don't know, was an investigative journalist. He was on 2020. And later, he had his own talk show. In the 80s, talk shows were massive. Like, this was a huge thing. Now, most of you watching know what I'm talking about. But for people who were younger, maybe you don't remember this. There used to be three major networks, CBS, NBC, and ABC in New York, 2, 4, and 7, respectively. And respectively, that's how you say that. And so the big godfather of the daytime talk show would be a man named Phil Donahue, who's married to Marlo Thomas, who played a TV show called That Girl. I'm dating myself here a bit, but Phil Donahue sort of invented the format of a 60-minute show where he goes out into the audience and he holds the microphone and he takes questions. And a lot of it was sort of tabloid trash, as they would say. It was supposed to be, at the time, they would say it was for housewives. Now, all types of people work at home, and I don't think it's now just for housewives. But at that time, that's what they were trying to appeal to. And it would come on right after soap operas. We had game shows in the morning, soap operas, daytime talk shows. The biggest, like I said, for the time on NBC at that time was Phil Donahue. At some point, there was also CBS. Now, Geraldo moved from NBC to CBS. He went on at CBS. 4 p.m. was the big time for the daytime talk show. 4 p.m. to 5 p.m., 1-hour shows. A woman named Oprah came out of nowhere. She was an actress. She was in the movie The Color Purple. Oprah Winfrey had her show on ABC and quickly became the biggest of all talk shows. I mean, by far, huge. I mean, her ratings were crazy. People related to her. And as the show went on, she had the best guests. And she started doing the tabloid stuff like everybody else. But in time, she started doing bigger things and giving to charity. And then, of course, you get a car, everybody gets a car. She started doing some really cool things. Now, there was also morning talk shows. You had Sally Jesse Raphael And later you had Ricky Lake, and I'm probably forgetting some. Maury Povich, that's a big one. You are not the father. And then, of course, how can I forget the king of the tabloid shows, Jerry Springer, which most of that show was fake. Later we find out that not everyone could be that stupid. Um, Producers on these shows, all of these shows, coach the people. They don't tell them exactly what to say, but they say, "Did you know?" They separate the two guests, and they say, "Did you know this person said this about you?" And they tell the other one something, and they say, "Well, I think you should go out there and give them a piece of your mind." And next thing you know, you have an explosion for millions of people around the world to laugh at. Rewinding now, a friend of mine worked in the same building as Geraldo Rivera and said Geraldo was getting a new studio. He was moving networks. He needed a new studio. Now, why did Geraldo Rivera need a new studio? Well, he was involved in a fight live on the air. And I want to show you Geraldo first before I get into that. This is the Geraldo that most people knew from the 70s. Geraldo was a Puerto Rican Jew, much like Juan Epstein, for you Welcome Back Cotter fans. And he was out there doing investigative journalism. He had a Star of David tattoo tattooed on his hand right there. He would wear makeup when he would go to places during wartime that might not have been so kind to people who were Jews. And the later episodes, you would see it on his hand. He stopped covering it. But he was an interesting guy. And on 2020, he did a lot of investigative reports. If you're looking at him, he doesn't look like Dan Rather or Walter Cronkite. He was kind of a rock and roll guy. And one of the most famous things he did was a investigation of a place called Willowbrook. Willowbrook was either Jersey or upstate New York, but it was an institution for mentally handicapped people and special needs. And what Geraldo found out, I believe due to a tip, was that the people there were not being taken care of. In fact, they were living in such dreadful conditions. It's shocking. I don't want to get too depressing, but these people were not being taken care of. And Geraldo got a tip off, and he got a key to enter Willowbrook and saw this place. It looks like where you would keep a horror show, not human beings. And because of Geraldo, Willowbrook was shut down, and the people were placed in other places. Some people were concerned what would happen to those people. Anything, it was better than where they were living. When I was working for Geraldo, he'd have a Christmas party every year. And I saw some people there who, with special needs. And I asked, who are these people? And they said that these are people who survived that whole Willowbrook ordeal. And Geraldo is still friendly with them to this day. And I said, you know what? I think this guy might be the real deal. Seeing him on TV, he was full of bravado and ego, and he was sort of known for womanizing and those type of things. But I started to believe that, you know what? He didn't have to stay in touch with these people 30 something years later. And I realized that this guy was actually pretty genuine. But in the business of television and talk show television, you've got a job to do and you got something to sell. And at that time, tabloid sold. I remember asking her, well, so many things I want to tell you. Hopefully you're interested in this. So they wanted people to work on his television show. I was 15 years old. In this day and age, I believe there would be child labor laws. He was switching studios because he did a talk show with the Aryan Nation. He had skinheads on, and he had some black leaders, this guy named Roy Ennis, and then he had some skinheads on, and it turned into a brawl, pretty big brawl. Geraldo's nose was broken on television. A chair went flying across the set and broke his nose. Now, a lot of people thought, oh, Geraldo was a wimp, but that's not true. I've actually seen the unedited footage, and Geraldo got a lot of shots in, and he was taking care of business with these skinhead punks. The chair came out of nowhere. No one could have seen it. It literally flew across the studio, breaking his nose. The studio was trashed, and I believe it was time for Geraldo to find a new home. A little before this, Geraldo was sort of not as popular, and they had an idea to investigate Al Capone's vaults in Chicago. Somebody found Al Capone's vaults, and Geraldo went with his hard hat, and he went in, and it was live, and they found nothing. They found bottles. It was really embarrassing because they hyped it up so much from what we're going to find. And the next morning, he thought, my career is over. But that's when people said, this guy regardless of finding nothing, the way he held himself and the way he hosted was great. And he went on to the talk shows. So it was time to go to CBS, and Geraldo needed somebody to set up folding chairs and do production assistant work. It paid $10 an hour. $10 an hour at 15 in 1989 or whatever year it was insane. My cousin got to do it and one of our other friends. And I learned a lot about the entertainment business at that point. So the first shows were set up at a place in New York called South Street Seaport. And it's right on the water. It's kind of like a port, and you can see the Brooklyn Bridge. And it was a really cool place. But there was no stage, there was no chairs. So we had to get folding chairs and set them up. What no one realizes is that what happens if it rains? Well, it did rain, and we had to continue. And so we went out and we had to dry these chairs during the rain breaks as fast as we can. And I remember Geraldo himself called us the Great Santini Brothers. And I remember he was a kind of hands-on dude. He was out there drying chairs, and he was all right. And he would talk to us. Later on in my career, you'd sometimes work for people. You couldn't even make eye contact with them. Geraldo wasn't like that. Wanted to be a man of the people. I mean, this is a very wealthy man who flew to work on a helicopter from New Jersey to New York every day. So, he didn't have to be that way. So one of the things I learned about the entertainment business is there's always some asshole who wants to do much more than is needed. We need to look at all these things here. We got to move this. There was all kinds of gear. We got to move it over there. Now, why would you listen to some idiot when that's not what you're told to do? Well, we moved all this gear because of this one idiot, and then we had to move it all back. You shouldn't do things unless you have a direct instruction to them. I see all your questions and comments. I'm going to answer them, but want to tell you a little bit about this first, a little bit about my journalism background, especially for those of you who like my interviews on this channel. New interview with Jimmy DeAnda premiered this morning. So I did the job. We did a few weeks, and it said, well, listen, guys, the studio's not ready. We need to do another couple weeks of episodes. You would tape 2 episodes a day. And so we moved on to Woolman Skating Rink in Central Park. And, you get up at 4 in the morning. I take the subway. But hey, $10 an hour and a free lunch. And I met all kinds of cool celebrities while I was doing this. I remember Jim Brown, legendary football player, is now passed. He was there. I remember hanging out with him and just all kinds of interesting people. I haven't thought about much of this in a long time, but I saw that video that Wednesday sent me, and all these Geraldo memories came sort of rushing back. So at the end of that, it was over. I got paid, and I thought that's the end of my association with Geraldo Rivera. I went to a kind of special high school, if you will, and it was created by a very famous educator named Deborah Meyer, and together with the dean of the time of Brown University, Ted Sizer. And they wanted to show that students didn't have to just memorize tests. Well, what do you learn if you memorize a test? Nothing. Well, they had these things called oral exhibitions. And now that's something you go to in an adult movie theater. But they had these things, and you would present the knowledge you learned. And if you couldn't answer questions from a board, you couldn't graduate. And part of it was you had to have an internship. It's amazing. 16, 17 in high school, they let us have an internship. Well, I called the Geraldo show and said, I need an internship. And I was fortunate that they accepted me. I still don't think this would happen today. Everyone else there who was interning was in college. I was the only person in high school. So I go to work at the Geraldo Rivera show, get out of school to do this. What an amazing experience. My first day there of the show was called Heavy Metal Chickens, about Judas Priest. Judas Priest was scheduled to be on the show that day. They backed out because they kind of thought that Geraldo was going to ambush them. This is when the backwards masking was happening, and the lawsuits about the message saying "do it." For those of you who don't know, Judas Priest has a record, and on the record there's a song. And if you play it backwards, allegedly backwards masking, it says "do it." Who the hell knows? You guys try it yourselves, see what happens. But don't sue me if you kill yourselves. 2 drunk, drug addict kids kill themselves, so families try to cash in. Judas Priest decided it would be good for them. My first assignment was to find out what hotel Judas Priest was staying at so that they can go and ambush them and ask them. I found it, and I don't think they actually did the ambush at that point, but I thought this is going to be an interesting run on television. Now, Geraldo was legendary for having his nose broken on TV, and he was legendary for finding nothing in Al Capone's vaults. So when you told people you worked there was a lot of teasing and joking going on. There was a kid who had HIV/AIDS. He passed away. I think his name was Ryan White. I don't want to say it wrong, but he was a pretty famous story in the 80s. And this kid was talking about how it was very hard to go to school because people insulted him for having HIV, and no one wanted to go be next to him. I watched Geraldo go over and hug him, and he said, "I'm not afraid to." And now, look, some of this was for television, but a lot of it he was from his heart because I saw the way he spoke to people, including Ryan, off camera, and I really, I thought he meant well, believed in what he talked about, and I watched the charity things. Someone had the idea to do a Skinhead, a sequel, an Aryan Nation, a second look, it was called. And I remember how much security was in the office that day and around the building. But what they did is they brought in senior citizen groups to be in the audience so that there was no chance of fighting. God forbid one of them got hit with a chair. And they instructed us that if it gets heated, we're going to lower the lights, play some soft music, and then pick up again. It was very strange. I had to walk the skinheads down from the dressing room with armed guards, and they were as polite as those type of people could be. But it was odd, and I'm a half Jewish person, and it was a stress. It was Geraldo, but it was strange, and there was a lot of these things that happened. Another day, Dan Quayle, who was the vice president who couldn't spell potato, came to visit, and just I got to, and oh, and so Joan Rivers recorded her daytime talk show across from Geraldo, and then in the same building was a soap opera. Can't remember which one, but soap operas are so boring. The sets, you watch them on TV, you think it's this fancy thing. There's a set, it's one wall, they pull it down, then there's another. But I would walk past like this, someone that has a lovemaking scene. Oh, The Price is Right also. You'd walk past the wheel and you'd see the cars that they're going to give away. All of these crazy, Price is Right was mostly in California, but they would tape things on the East Coast occasionally. And so you would see all of this as you're walking by. Got to meet and have a great conversation with Howard Stern, who was one of my heroes. He was on the Joan Rivers show. And spent some time with Richard Simmons, all kinds of weird people that you never thought you would see in your life. And so it was really a good, amazing experience. And when I was graduating high school, I needed to write a paper. And I wrote a paper about Geraldo, about tabloid journalism. And he was nice enough to let me come in and interview him. And at one point, he was going to come to my high school graduation. That's how and speak. That's how he was out of town. But that's how kind of cool he was. I remember having to make the strangest phone calls and pre-interview guests. They were cannibals. I mean, it was insane. It was not a normal a job, to say the least. But so I was inspired. I wanted to be in journalism. I wanted to be a talk show host. I wanted to do what I saw Geraldo doing, and in my mind, I thought I'm going to do for good. I could do something good that can come out of this. There's a picture of Geraldo, maybe around the time that I worked for him, and I'll show you an exact picture from the set of the show, the set that was built while I was there. This is it here. This was on CBS. And many times I sat in the audience on days off or had friends. Hey, we'll go watch an episode of Geraldo. I learned a lot. When I was in school, I also did these video projects. And I created a thing called The Jason Show. And who knew that many years later I'd be here doing Waste Some Time with Jason Green. But I was inspired. I did this thesis video called Christopher Columbus, Hero or Hoax. And I interviewed Native Americans and all these people to decide, well, I was way ahead of my time, if Columbus discovered America or this was a bunch of bullshit. Anyway, it was controversial, but I got amazing grades, got a scholarship to college. That didn't last very long because I dropped out after 6 months to go work in movies and television and those kind of things, music later. So anyway, some of you might be interested in this. I'm not really looking at the comments yet. I'll look in a second. And again, if you're not interested, you have the power to change to another channel. I bet you there's something far less interesting on. So I knew that I wanted to do this, and I went to a place called the New School for Social Research at Lang College in New York, and I began studying investigative journalism, broadcast journalism. Allison Stewart was in my class. She went on to work for MTV and a lot of other places. She wasn't great, but whatever. But you had to have a look to make it in this industry, and I didn't have that look. Um, or you had to win a game show like a guy named Jesse Camp. But I auditioned for MTV, I auditioned for a lot of these things. I wanted to do this. But then off camera work started becoming a thing. And I thought maybe I'm not going to get my big talk show break. It wasn't until the pandemic that I realized I can just do this myself. And if people want to watch, they'll watch. And if they don't, they don't. But I couldn't have guests come into a studio. So I had to start to use what I do now, this platform, for guests to join me. And that's really how I got involved with wanting to do interviews and investigative journalism. And it's why it bothers me when people do it poorly. Just because everyone can have a YouTube show doesn't mean they should. There are a lot of terrible interviewers out there. Some of them are actually very well known. An interview should not be about yourself. If you have something to interject, a tie-in with somebody, that's great, but it's really about them. And so on this channel, I have this platform to talk myself and do what I want. But when it's an interview, it's about the person you tuned in to watch. Listening is very difficult for some people. Shutting their mouths instead of telling you about what they've done can sometimes be different. Now, again, I will talk about what I've done if it relates. In my interview with Jimmy DeAnda this morning, I talk about how I first met him at CBGB's when the Bullet Boys played. Showed a picture. This was a fun tie-in of something we had in common. I told stories about touring with Jimmy, as I have. But when it was time for him to talk about his life, I shut my mouth. My interview with Janie Lane's daughter, Maddie, which has 25,000 views right now and climbing. Difficult subject. Going to talk about her father who passed away in a controversial way. He was abused, what her feelings were. Where is her money? Shouldn't she have gotten his money? Tough question that no one has ever asked these people before. And I had the guts to do it, and I had the guts to listen. And when I thought she was sad, I talked. And that's the dynamic. That's the dance, if you will, to doing these interviews. The best compliment I get is when people tell me they like my interviews. That's the best you can tell me. And all I ask in return is that you subscribe to this channel so that I can do more. And there's a lot of great interviews coming soon. I had a really nice talk with Scott Ian this morning from Anthrax, and he'll be here soon. And there's other cool, Sean Clark represents him for these convention appearances, and we're going to do some different fun stuff. So anyway, that's why I wanted to be in the news media. I used to see Andy Rooney. Andy Rooney was on 60 Minutes, and he would always go, "What's the problem with, you know what I don't like? I don't like it when people," and he was annoying. Anyway, he would steal food from the commissary. Everyone told me, "Look out for Andy Rooney. He's always stealing." Thought I shared that. There's two people watching who are laughing. Anyway, let's take a look what you guys have to say. Clint was the first one here. He says it was a great interview with Jimmy from the Bullet Boys. He was honest. He did not pull no punches with the Bullet Boys history. Well, I agree. And the Bullet Boys is a controversial one at that. Skylar, thank you so much. Andrew Zen. I don't want to get too much into this Warren DeMartini because I've seen a lot of stupid comments. So I don't want to get too crazy with this. But Warren DeMartini, for those who don't know, is the original guitar player for RATT, at least from the first album, the EP on. There's people who watch my show and love Johnny Monaco. I love Johnny Monaco too. In fact, I got him in the band. I brought him in. But when something like this happens, which is a different project, most people know Warren DeMartini or Carlos Cavazzo from Quiet Riot, who is also multi-platinum in his own right. So for the people who are mad that Carlos is their award, which is 1 in 20 million, you're insane. You're insane. It just doesn't make sense. Johnny Monaco is an incredible musician. You haven't heard the last of him. He makes records of his own, and at some point he'll probably tour with somebody else or whatever he wants to do. He can play. But for things that are rat related, wouldn't it make more sense to have two members of rat? Maybe I'm out of my mind. All right. Ronnie Shepard saying, let's all waste some time. A cruise day will get here quicker. Well, it's going to be here too quick for me. On March 1st, I begin my journey on the 80s cruise. There will be 8 days of live report taped. And same with uh, the Monster Rock cruise following that. And I'll talk about all those things in just a minute. Hello, hello. As Baba Booey would say, California Dreaming. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being a channel member. Ryan Kirk. Hey, gang, let's waste some time. Also, thank you for being a channel member. And a lot of people just talking to each other, which is nice. I'm glad to see you guys. Let's see. Trying to be careful. Some topics I might not. Well, I listen. It'd be nice to see Johnny open for Stephen Warren. I suggested at the Mohican Sun, which was announced today, Johnny should play the lounge. He's played millions of Vegas lounges. I think it'd be incredible. Johnny Monaco after party would be great. There's a lot he can do, but who knows? But yes, today it was announced that Piercy DiMartini project will be appearing April 5th at the Mohican Sun Arena with special guest Vixen. Tickets go on sale Friday, and you better get them now. This will be the debut of Piercy DiMartini. If you have a good time and you love it and you see the videos and you're upset that you missed it, because this is a full video light spectacular, if you will. And as the package just came to my door. You're going to want to see it, and then you'll want to come back to the M3 Music Festival. Okay. This is Stephen Sutton. Hi, Jay. Stephen from England here. Love the show. Thank you. For a second, I thought he was from New England, but he is from Old England. And thank you for watching. I appreciate it. I love my international audience. Did Stephen play at the Surf? Yes, he did. I am wearing my shirt from the Surf Ballroom. I like to call it the Surf Ballroom. Do you think Stephen will do any UK dates? It's the goal. The goal is that Piercy DiMartini goes international. It's been a long time since they have, so we'll have to see. Okay. People talking about it. Someone mentioned Merv Griffin. Merv Griffin was definitely afternoon before, but Merv Griffin was more of talk. It was an interview show. Mike Douglas also. Those were more of interview shows. Jenny Jones is a good example, tabloid journalism. And Montel, how could we forget Montel Williams? I'd like to forget Montel. He was not one of my favorites, but he also did that. And yeah, Maury Povich. Lorraine used to watch Jenny Jones. Now, Arsenio Hall was nighttime television. That's for another show altogether, nighttime television. That's your Lettermans, your Lenos, your, at one point, Johnny Carson. It was a big deal. It's not the same. All right. This is Rodney Cross. Rodney Cross, thank you for the super chat. You guys are the reason I'm able to keep doing this. And when I go on the road, I'm going to do my best to keep broadcasting live. You seem to have a fun time when I went live from Houston. Talk about it in a minute. Thank you, Rodney. Ricky mentions Maury was married to Connie Chung. Yes, he was. I think he's still married to Connie Chung. And they lived in the Dakota Hotel, the place where John Lennon was sadly shot. And the football guy lived there too, John Madden. All right. Morton Downey Jr. was syndicated late night television based out of New Jersey, also infamous for faking some of the things. But my favorite episode of Morton Downey Jr. was Ace Frehley and Circus of Power. First time I saw Circus of Power. It changed my life, by the way. A lot of people grew up in Los Angeles, West Coast, and they were into the hair bands. And I like that stuff too. But I grew up with sort of Dead Boys, Ramones, Circus of Power. It was much more authentic to me. But I lived in New York, and then you walked through the streets. You didn't see people with hairspray and lipstick, and I mean, Poison looked like the most eligible chicks in the world. I didn't want to look like one of them. That's not to say I wasn't enjoying the music. Tom Snyder was also late night, but makes really infamous episode. Let's see. Richard Bay was also syndicated. Tony Danza had a daytime talk show. Failed miserably. Drew Barrymore has one now that's borderline unwatchable. Okay. Um, let's see. Some of these people are just repeating things we already know. I used to work with Puck from the Real World, and I wrote a screenplay with him. And we once got booked on the Ricky Lake show. I went with him. It was him and Jimmy Pop from the Bloodhound Gang, which was a great group, really fun. And they flew him to New York. I was already living in New York, and boy, we had some crazy times. There's so many stories. If I just told you stories about my own life uh, that are ridiculous, I think you would be entertained. But we'll see. Jason Holstein says, I remember watching the Vault show live. Did the little dance at the end, admitting he didn't find anything. Yeah, absolutely. No choice. I watched it too, live. I can't remember if he went and looked for Jimmy Hoffa, but I know it came up. It might have been on an episode. Um, let's see. Chris tried to play it backwards. Doesn't say much in reverse. Yeah, it's funny if was a cover song at that. Carolyn likes Geraldo. Geraldo had a controversial career after talk shows. He went to work for Fox News for a little while. He has since left and sort of renounced his support of a lot of things that Fox News uh, um, likes. Fascism. I mean, I don't know, but he's no longer there. Um, Scott Johnson, it was good seeing Scott this weekend in Texas. And yes, Bob Barker was the king. Look, we all grew up on Bob Barker. I love to watch. Pluto has a Price is Right channel where you can watch the classic episodes. It's just so great. And yeah, I said cannibals. I had to talk to somebody once who ate their family. I don't even know what to say. It's time for another day. Now, listen, the unedited Geraldo interview with Charles Manson. It's incredible. Geraldo was armed with a taser when he interviewed Charles Manson. As I said, Geraldo was half Jewish. Charles Manson had a swastika carved into his head. And yes, Charlie was going to try to. Geraldo would have beat his ass. Like most dictators and monsters and losers, Charles Manson was a little person, little teeny weeny person with a big ego and attitude and severe Napoleon complex. Geraldo would have kicked his ass. All right. Let's see. You need to write a book. Great stories. Well, thank you. Well, maybe one day. I like that people are interested. I'm lucky that I had such a colorful life. If people only knew me from a few interviews on this channel or social media, you would never know how crazy these stories that I tell were. Okay, let's take a look. This is Sean Brown. Sean, this is a very generous super chat, and it's much appreciated. Thank you. Hello, Jason, and to everyone involved with the show. Yes, my wide team of people. I have a shipping department. I have an editing department. I have a executive production department, and things like that. Anyway, hello, Jason, everyone involved with the show. It's good to see you. I graduated with a BA in journalism with honors. Wow, that's very cool. In 2000, from Rowan, I haven't written in years, but I'd love to get back to writing about rock. Any advice on how to freelance? Well, that's a good question. I worked for Trauma. I've told this a few times. I think Sean Clark gets mad when I talk about things I've done in the past more than one time. Anyway, my advice is Trauma. They told me, Lloyd Kaufman, make your own damn movie, write your own damn book. You can do it yourself. Well, we live in a time where everything is independent. So go out and hustle. If you have a story or a concert review or an interview that someone would need, they'll use it, and you'll get some bylines and move on from there. It can be done. I'm living proof that anybody can do anything they want. There was plenty of times I could have quit. There was times I was broke. I was raising money for charity. It felt like it was something important to do. I shaved my head the first time. I went for $30,000 or so to raise money for kids' cancer research. I couldn't pay my own rent at the time. I was so desperate, but I didn't care. I hosted every charity event I could, raised money for cystic fibrosis. I was fat and out of shape and walked a marathon because I thought it could help some people. There's some people out there who would say, "Oh, charity is all a scam," and there are some that are. But cystic fibrosis has come so far that people aren't dying from it. When I was doing it, if you made it to 16, you were like 75 years old. People were dying at such a young age. It was important for me to give back. But I hustled and I was independent. Another piece of advice that goes for everybody and everything is don't listen to people that aren't qualified to give you advice. People spend their lives trying to tear you down. They think they're better than you. I don't know what their qualifications are, but don't listen. You've only got so long in this shell, and then time runs out. You want to spend your lives listening to what someone who's not qualified thinks, someone who's not really your friend? Don't fall for it. Do what you can do and fight. Get in there. This is the greatest time to be independent. Look, maybe the country's insane. Maybe the country's been insane for a long time. It doesn't mean that you can't find a niche. People watching the show, you're watching because you like something that we've brought. You like the entertainment factor of it. And there's enough bullshit in the world. So anyway, Sean, I hope my inspiration words helped. Um, Green Eyed Girl says, I agree, Jason becomes more fascinating with every episode. For me, my whole life, I thought everyone lived like this. It wasn't until later that I realized, you know, the reason I started my band, the Sincere Rejects, is because people told me I couldn't. I went into music management. They said, well, what do you know? You don't even play music. I said, you know what? I'll do that too. And I'll do that better than other people. Here's a guy playing punk music and at the end of the night drop, taking all my clothes off essentially and bleeding. I wasn't crazy, but people still talk about these things. Doesn't matter how big or how small. I'm not talking about when I took my pants off. That was huge. Huge. But anyway, great interview with Maddie. Thank you so much. Maddie, Jalen's daughter. Jason Holstein, I've been watching you for years. You know when to listen, when to interrupt, when to redirect your master. Well, thank you. And I get better every time I do it with experience, I think. Don't want to toot my own horn. Toot, toot, toot. The Great Cat. Great Cat was an amazing example. I thought I was going to interview this lunatic named the Great Cat. She is a living, walking, breathing shtick. Everything is insane. Who knows what's real? I remember her from New York. I said, I'm going to try to interview her. And she told me, you can send me 5 questions and I'll record 5 answers. My show was new. I was intrigued. Let's see what happens. She sent me these ridiculous things. Watch the interview. It's insane. It almost doesn't seem real. I told her one day you got to come back and let's do a expose, if you will. Anyway, um, Green Eyed Girl agrees that it might be a book or a video docu-series. A video thing would be easier for me, and I'm thinking about it. Thinking about something where do different chapters in my life. Just looking at my social media, or if you, like I said, just know me from the show. There's a lot more. People who know me don't even know half the things that I've lived through. Sometimes I'm not sure how I made it. Northern Grace also enjoyed the interview with Maddie. We've talked about Maddie becoming a bit of a sidekick, a co-host. She seemed interested. She's going into some forms of communication, so maybe that could happen. Uh, you're a great dancing partner in the universe. Thank you, and that is what it is. You have to you do a dance. There's also people. To my Andy Rooney impression, the impression's good, but I wish I had more material. I just can't remember his whole thing, and also half the people, or maybe 90%, don't know who who he was. Now, some of the questions about business I sometimes can't answer. Stephen was postponed in St. Charles, Illinois. Maybe we will get Stephen and Warren together instead. Either way, can't wait to rock. What rat and roll. In that case, I think I can say that show is supposed to be postponed to a later date. The Arcata Theater was okay with postponing so that Steven can play the Beaver Dam, which is an amazing bill. Steelheart, maybe Vixen, LA Guns, Slaughter, and Piercy DiMartini. Um, so anyway, yeah, it will happen. Love your interview with Jimmy. Thank you. Came out this morning. I hope you guys will watch it. My interviews with the Bullet Boys have done really well. Like the only one I haven't had is Lonnie. I noticed somebody said Lonnie is a prick, but I don't. Maybe we'll get him on one day. But yeah, he says a lot. Bullet Boys, great live stage performers. Yeah, I don't think we've heard the last of them. In the interview, I asked him, "You've been in the band 4 times. Do you think there'll be a fifth?" You can watch the interview to see, but I think it could happen. Lorraine is the new Mohican show in lieu of the Mohican Sun the week before. I'm a little sad that it's not the Wolfstein. Well, that makes one of us because I would prefer to be in the big arena. I think that things are getting bigger, more tremendous, huge, things like that. So I think we will be, yes, it is in lieu. Although I heard today that there's a chance that the solo show could be rescheduled for later in the year. I can't really get involved in that for legal reasons. Okay. The last time I saw Rat was with Carlos. It was great. Listen, this Piercy DiMartini band is an all-star band. All right. Matt Thorne on bass is the original bass player for Rat, one of them, and the first to ever record with them. Metal Massacre was where Rat's first recording, Tell the World, came out, and Matt Thorne is on bass, 1981. He co-wrote Back for More, others too. Maybe The Morning After riff is hit. I better not say too much anymore. Now that Warren's going to be around, I got to watch what I say. And Matt could tell those stories. He's told him, go watch my old interviews. And Blas Elias on drums from the band Slaughter. He just adds so much. What I look for in a drummer with Rat is someone who's not a piece of shit. No one comes to mind off the top of my head. But Blas Elias is one of the best people and amazing drummer. He's what they call underrated. I don't like when people say underrated, but people think, oh, he played in Slaughter. What does that mean? Although Slaughter's had a history of some pretty good drummers, including the current one. But anyway, and then Carlos Cavazzo of Quiet Riot. He was in Rat for at least 150 years of their 400-year career. He's back. Quiet Riot. The guy wrote "Bang Your Head." I mean, come on. And then of course Warren DiMartini, not only one of the greatest guitar players of that scene, but definitely one of the rarest. See him while you can. See them all while you can. This is Mark Merrow. I don't think it's the wrestler, but I just finished watching the Jimmy interview and love the channel. I've interacted with Jimmy. He's actually a great guy and always himself, honest. It sounds very funny. Thank you, Mark. And I was hoping that would come across. Some of the interviews on this channel that I think people enjoy, partially you enjoy it because I do have a personal rapport with the people. My interview with George Lynch, which is the second biggest interview on this channel, I think people like it because I knew George. We've worked together, and I think that helped. Anyway, I'm not trying to toot my own horn like other broadcasters, just talking. Always love your content. Thank you, Matt. Jealous of the cruisers. Yes, Carolyn, it's going to be good. You're going to cruise with me vicariously. My whole video world will be like one big upside down pineapple, and you're welcome to come and gawk. Yes, you'll watch the Monster Rock. You'll probably be in one of the Monster Rock shows. This is a question from Native PhD. I think I read that right. Native writes, when bands do reunions, how is the touring manager determined, especially if all members of the band are successful in solo careers? Not sure. In this case, they each chose who they wanted to be involved with. I've been involved with other versions. I cut myself shaving, and all I do is stare at these scars. You can't really see them. Well, there's one right there. I have a rapport with Warren DiMartini and with management and everyone. I've worked with every version of Rat in some capacity. This will be the most I've worked with Warren, for example. But so it seemed like Steven took 2 guys from his solo band. Warren brought back Carlos. Warren also wanted Matt. They had lived together before they got famous and signed and all those things. And who am I forgetting? And why did I get involved? For 4 years, I've had a good relationship with Stephen, and I think I've done a good job keeping things going. And apparently, they saw that as well, and that's why it continues. I've told Stephen many times I'm with him until the end. So uh, I'm going to go until it goes. That doesn't mean I'm only going to favor Stephen as a manager or a tour manager. It's a job, and having Warren there, he has a say too. He's a big part of RATT, obviously. I'm excited for both of them. Matt reminds you to hit the like button. Please do. Any stories about MTV The Real World? I could do that for hours, but I gotta maybe save that for another time. I'm trying to only do 1 hour on Mondays, 2 hours on Wednesdays. Some people love when I have other people on and we do tastings and we do talkings, or we get the Wednesday 13 infomercial. Wednesday's new album's coming out very soon, officialwednesday13.com. Got a video on YouTube. You can check it out. And then some people like it when I just talk. Are you ready for 2 cruises with Faster Pussycat? I'm glad I don't drink because my liver couldn't handle it. I'm ready to see Weekend at Bernie's, as Danny Nordahl is propped up who knows? That's what it was like last time I saw him on a cruise. Um, yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready. Okay, I think I got the super chats. Will you do live stream today's cruise? Have to find out. Sometimes you don't get Wi-Fi. I'll be in Puerto Rico. There is Wi-Fi there, last I heard. I heard that Puerto Rico is going to become the 53rd state. That's what I heard. And that the Dominican Republic, I'll be there. That will become the 54th state. I can't. I'm not sure though. But we'll see how the Wi-Fi is and things. Regardless, I'm going to record everything. Everything. And by the way, in the next tour hour, you will see me in the shower. So if you want to see everything, that's for you. Guys, fast forward. Unless you're into that kind of thing. Jason, are you cool with Johnny Kelly interview being up on another channel? No, I'm not. I'm not cool with anyone. And in fact, send me a link unless you're the one who did it. I don't think we should be. Look, I make content. I don't need other people sharing my content. Sometimes I have an attorney. I'll have you know. For those of you who are watching, who are thinking about putting your hands in my pockets and feeling my nuts, I have a counselor. I have a legal department who is not too far from the shipping and production department. So don't. Clint Stroke. Is that how you say your name? No, sorry. Clint, I've always thought it says stroke. It's stroke. Stroke is what I'm going to have if I don't get my cholesterol in order. Stroke. 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 I don't know. What, Clint? Your question is, can I talk about the Brentwood story? Any truth to the reports? I've chosen not to talk about the story. I know the people involved on both sides, and this show is meant to be entertaining. And I wouldn't want to make light of anyone who's a victim, and I wouldn't want to spread allegations that I just can't prove. No matter what I know and don't know, I'm not in the bedroom with people, and that's not what I'm looking to do. Some people want to go out and make it a crusade to attack people, sometimes out of jealousy, retribution. I don't want to do that. The facts are out there. I would like to see people, if something illegal or something terrible happens, let that be dealt with. But what's going on is crazy. And so anyway, it's a story that I'm not going to really get into, if that was enough of me getting into it. Skyline chili, craving it again. I would, yeah. I enjoyed my Skyline chili. I'll be in Ohio some point this year, I was told. This is Boa G. I was on a cruise not too long ago. Lamb of cocoa went with my. I don't like to eat lamb, but I do enjoy a cup of cocoa if it's sugar free. Went with my friend's band. Food was not bad, and free beers. Listen, this 80s cruise, it comes with the drink package included. So if you want to drink Danny Nordahl's really going to be living it up, living la vida loca, as they say. Any pre-sale for Mohican Sun? As of now, no. I was just notified today to promote it, and I did not see a pre-sale. This is Sean. Glad to see you and the crew enjoyed the surf ballroom. Seen so many great shows. Saw Rat there last time too. I want to talk about the surf ballroom. We'll do that right now. We're already 15 minutes in. For years, I've wanted to go to Clear Lake, Iowa to visit the surf ballroom. I'm a sucker for history. I'm a sucker for music history. And at times, I'm a sucker for macabre history. Mm. I don't want to give everything away because some of it's going to be, well, most of it's going to be in my video. But we flew to Dallas. From there, we went to Fort Worth. We were at a place called the Stockyards. Played a venue called Tannehill's. Great crowd. It was a Wednesday. It was freezing. The band spent a lot of time hanging out together. That's not always the case, but we all had a good time. Everyone got along. Can't think of any drama on this trip. The drama llama was not there. They'd saved it for your mama. And so it was good. And then from there, we flew to Houston. It snowed while we were in Fort Worth. The stockyards were covered in snow. It didn't stick, but it was snowing and freezing. We went to Houston, played the House of Blues. Another great crowd. I tell you what, people are coming out to the shows. I don't know if they're excited by all the rat talk, but it was crowded. And from there, we flew to Minneapolis, where we drove 2 hours. I'm falling asleep talking about it, to Clear Lake, Iowa, surf ballroom. So, for those who don't know, in 1959, there was a concert called the Winter Dance Party, and the bill was Richie Valens, Buddy Holly, he was the headliner, J.P. Anderson, Richardson, rest in peace, the Big Bopper, and Dion DiMucci, and the Belmont. Dion was probably my favorite of all those people. He didn't get on the plane. Waylon Jennings was the bass player for Buddy Holly, also did not get on the plane. There was an infamous coin toss. We reenacted the coin toss in the dressing room where it took place. We actually did a coin toss to decide whether or not we would get on a plane or we get on the bus. I probably shouldn't reveal the results, but I will tell you who played along. Myself, Los Elias, Matt Thorne, and Eric Ferentinos. Stephen refused, did not, thought it was bad luck, didn't want to do it. He's in the video, but did not want to do it. So anyway, I took a tour. They're opening a museum, and no one has seen it yet, the construction. CEO, a guy named Brian, great guy, took me on a tour and showed me the entire construction. The owner, Mr. Fox, he's long passed, of the surf ballroom. His home is there. I took a tour of it. It's still exactly like it was in the 50s and 60s, right on the lake. I could see these lunatics fishing on the ice. Crazy. I would never do that. And so I did that. I toured. I found artifacts. I showed you the Big Bopper's briefcase that was rescued from the wreckage. And then later that night, Blas and Elias and I went in the middle of the night in the pitch darkness to the wreck site. I don't want to tell you too much about it, but it was cold and snowing, much like it was in 1959. It wasn't snowing. Snow was on the ground. I've got a piece of the surf ballroom. They gave it to me. Oh, man. This is that's the famous concert for those who weren't around in 1959 in Clear Lake, Iowa. That's a replica. And then here it is. I collect pieces of history. I have a piece of a stage from a very famous venue. I'm still talking to my legal department if I can talk about it and how I acquired it. But it's crazy. And it's in an upcoming video. 1940, this is the original dance floor. What they said is that sometimes pieces of the floor have to be replaced. Things happen. And when they do, they preserve them. And they give them to assholes like me. I am honored, and it will forever be on my shelf. Forever now. Hey now. You were taking your lawyer on the cruise too, right, Jason? Somebody has to walk the stairs with you. Correct. I have to walk the stairs with someone. I'm a fat old person. And the last thing I want to do, we all are discussing cruise insurance today. The last thing I want to do is drop dead on a cruise. Thanks for being a dope. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Thanks for the dope, Jimmy Deanne, the interview, Jason. Well, thank you. When I see the word dope, I just assume it's either a really shitty band or someone insulting me. Michael Douglas. I think you're trying to say Mike Douglas. Michael Douglas is an actor, son of Kirk Douglas. Says he got oral cancer from allegedly performing fellatio. He was married to Catherine Zeta-Jones. I don't think she appreciated that. I don't know if I should talk about that. Looking forward to seeing Stephen and Warren back together on stage. You and I both. The Wally George show. That's for the California folks. If you know, you know. Sup, Jason. Have you heard any music from the Sepp Warren DeMartini lineup? I think having Bloss on drums will make that band a beast. I haven't heard it yet. Matt Thorne has. He recorded it or something. He has it. He told me all about it. Swore me to secrecy. This is Roland Perez. I just started watching from Episode 1. Why is there so many different artists with Steven during the tour? Well, first of all, you're watching 4 years of episodes. And so when you catch up, you'll realize that the lineup has been pretty close to the same for 3 years. When you're not on a full-time tour, when you go back and forth, you're going to people are going to get other gigs. Last drummer Scott Coogan, the late Scott Coogan, he late for dinner. He thought that Ace Frehley was the way to go. He's going to come on the show one day and talk about it. That's up to him. The late Ace Frehley. But so anyway, things change. But Johnny's been in the band for 3 years. Eric's been in the band for 44 years. Matt Thorne was in the band in 1981. Anyway, would it be possible that Juan Crucier might join Steven? Hey, now there's a thought. No. Green-eyed girl. Texas live show was so great. Only missing Bloss and Johnny to add to the fun. Texas live show was so great. I don't know what you're talking about. Bloss and Johnny were there. I think.
The live you did.
Oh, thank you. I'm hearing voices in my head, and they sound very realistic. Johnny refused to come on. He's too good for this. He refused. And Bloss was out shaking down a collection. He does that on the side. Okay. I'm trying to get through these. I don't want to leave without at least picking the ones that I think are interesting. Was the Stuttering John worn down, I think, stage? No, I don't think it was. I think that's real. I mean, look, I'm not an expert. One of my friends from high school and her boyfriend were on Richard Bay. They made up a whole story and ended up on the wheel of death. Yeah, a lot of that. What is Puck up to? I haven't talked to him in a while. During the pandemic, I did live videos on YouTube, and Facebook, and he would come on. J.J. French and the Great Cat of Worn Down. Yeah, that's another historic one. I was going to talk about this, the fake Peter Criss that was on Phil Donahue. They had an imposter. It was big. And then the real Peter Criss came out to say, I am not a homeless person. What's your favorite song of the time? I can never answer questions like that. I just can't remember. Can't remember. Trying to get through it. Ace was my favorite Kiss member back in the day. Saw him perform recently. Great show. Well, when you and I were at different shows. He was my favorite performer in Kiss, and I saw him recently, and it was one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life. He's opening for Piercy DeMartini, by the way, so don't tell him. Have you ever worked with Jake Ely? He lives in Vegas. I see him a lot. I wouldn't say we worked together, but we chatted quite a bit. Yes, Geraldo's fights are legendary. Okay, I'm going here best I can. For the haters, Jason, you rock. Were there any haters today? Did we have to block anyone today? No. Did you see the ex-singer from Vixen got a only account? I have not seen the content. She is 66 years old. She can kick, stretch. Well, maybe. Listen. It takes guts to come on this show. It takes guts for me to sit here and let people insult me or say nice things. Only 2 super chats? What the fuck? No, but hey, if she wants to show her goods at 66, by golly, I think she should show her goods. And if you want to subscribe, it's okay with me. Zeke Trick, I actually love hearing Bloss from the drum kit. Me too. Or the Misfits still before me. Yeah, if you call it that. Bloss is a sweetheart and a sexy beast for the ladies. Well, he is a sexy beast for the fellas too. I mean, do you still talk with Sebastian? Not really. He knows what's going on in this show, though. He's told me things. I like him. He's gonna be on the Monster Rock cruise. I support Sebastian. So, and yes, Carlos was on Infestation. Infantasia, if you watch my show, you see the Arcada Theater. There's a guy who he works there, and he calls it Infantasia. I don't like that record. Steven didn't like that record. He said on the show he gave it a weak rating, but some people love it. Uh, would you mediate a Bullet Boys for the original lineup get together? Yes, it's very possible. If there's one person in this world who can bring the Bullet Boys together, it is I. 50% of them are back together. Lonnie Vincent is Mark Torre. Before Lonnie disappears is when I got to do it. But it won't be easy, but I can do it. I do talk to the other guys. And yes, I can do it. Was Jimmy DeGrasso ever an option to play drums? Again, this is personal. No. But Bloss is such a hot, sexy, awesome guy. I know that's going to be a sound bite, and everyone's going to put it out. Me saying it. Can you speak of what the retirement plan looks like for most musicians? Dying penniless. Oh, look, Jason agrees. Retirement for musicians is death. And Mark is not the wrestler. I'm listening to a Monsters of Rock cruise plus Spy while we're at the bands. Lots of good bands. Looking forward to seeing the schedule. I will do a show before we leave. I'm going to try to. Maybe Wednesday where I'll talk about the bands and I'll tell you what I'm looking for. Hall of Reviews says, Kieran rocks. Get him on here. He's a who? I think you mean Kieran from Faster Pussycat, I think. And right? And he would do it. I like Kieran. Kieran will not be on the cruise, either cruise, though. Kieran is having a romantic bliss with Heather of Leather. So there, put that in your pipe and smoke it. I love these people. These ones drive me crazy. Of course, it's not RATT without Robin. Oh, Jesus. But Juan and Bobby should be included as well. Well, let me tell you something. This comes from me, not from Warren or Steven or anyone I work with. RATT, first of all, existed for ages after Robin left. Of course, the original lineup, Robin was a core. And they'll all agree that Robin kind of kept them together at times. I've heard that Robin didn't even play on the Detonator record from a lot of people. He's been gone and RATT has continued. So when someone passes, of course you can't have it. So I don't even like to talk about that. Robin can't be there. He's there in spirit. Steven knows. He believes it. He talks to him. I'm not being funny. And like most podcasters who have a show. And then maybe, just maybe, those two other guys you mentioned are assholes. Maybe people don't want to work with them, right? Maybe there's just so much drama. Maybe going out and copywriting a name behind somebody's back. Maybe suing everybody. Maybe at some point, what's best for the fan is not best for the band. And maybe people don't understand that. Oh my God, I want to see the original guys. How many songs did Bobby Blotzer really write? Did you ever go, oh my God, I can't go see RATT if the drummer's not there? He wasn't Tommy Lee. I don't know. So you guys got to put that in your pipes and smoke it before you start saying it's not a reunion. It's called Piercy D. Martini. You want to see the two people in RATT who matter? Go see it. If you want to wait for those other guys, maybe they'll be cleaning up bowling alleys near you somewhere. I don't know. Mickey Hernandez. What's going on, Jason? Oh, not much. Just talking a little. Silver. Hey, Jason, I'm new to Patreon. How's that working for you? And what's going on over there? Well, we have a whole new thing, and we have a Patreon postcard package. People keep asking to see my package. And I said, well, how about on Patreon? And so we have this postcard package. There's one spot. Yeah, I wonder you should go get it. Everywhere on the road, I sign and write you a personal postcard. Get on it. And that's on Patreon, and get some other exclusive things. You're saying everyone remembers them. No one remembers anything. People remember Round and Round. on Sirius XM or in the car. Nobody cares. Those other guys are not necessary. This is my opinion, by the way. Don't wait. And by the way, one of those guys watches, and so whatever. Not everyone gets along. I didn't make the decision. I don't give a fuck. I would have worked with whoever showed up. Uh, I'm already over. I didn't go see the Led Zeppelin movie. Maybe I will. This is the House of G fam. Jason, I'm turning 40 this week. I appreciate all the life is short advice. I'm getting out there living my best life. Hey, I appreciate it. There's some people out there who don't like when I pontificate upon the world and life and try to give positive advice because most people are angry assholes. I'm telling you like it is. One day you're going to realize you screwed up because you waited too long. I'm not waiting. I am out there every day. Nobody can say they're living their best life better than me. And until someone stops me, I'm going to continue to do it. I tour because I want to, not because I have to. Just so you know. All right, let's see what else is going on. I want to get through everyone's comments. You guys, you paid your $20 to be here, right? Any word if Kelly Nichols will do a tribute to Steve Riley? I've talked about it with Steve's widow. I want it to happen more than anything. I'm just insanely busy with other things, but I've got a tiny piece of kitchen floor of Alcatraz. It was disintegrating and just picked it up. That's great. I like things like that. Will there be trick-or-treating on the cruise this year? You better believe it. Not the Monsters Rock. They don't allow trick-or-treating. It's not them. It's the cruise line. It says it's a fire hazard. I say Let It Burn, which was a record by the Sin City Sinners where I wrote half the songs. It's not available, but I'll put it out soon. Anyway, yeah, trick-or-treating's back. Have you had any turbulent flights that scared you? A little bit. I spent my entire flight into Minneapolis reading about the day the music died. And then at one point, the internet went out and the plane started having turbulence. And I thought, maybe I should not have read this. Heard the drummer of AC/DC will be at the Hollywood Show. Well, you're damn right he will, because I booked him there. That's going to be on June the 7th, I think. And anyway, Stephen Piercy from RATT with Whit Hertford, who played young Stephen in the Invasion of Your Privacy, Lay It Down music video. I'll have them there. I'll have Mark Torgel, who plays the Toxic Avenger. He's Melvin, who turns into him. He'll be there too. Okay, I'm doing my best. Yeah, some people want to see an old man doing bad dance moves with a balding head. Can I talk about Bloss's secret mission? No. How is Jake Lee doing? He's doing well enough to head to England to play at the Aussie tribute. Will Juan be returning to make chili? That's more likely. Everyone's got to work. Says here, sorry, new here. This guy in RATT? Question mark. Maybe he's asking if I'm in RATT. I lived in New York City. I saw a lot of RATTs. I am not in RATT. But you see, that's the problem. There's been so many people. We need Stephen Piercy and Warren D. Martini. And in fact, you can see them at the Mohican Sun in Connecticut. You can see them at the M3 in Columbia, Maryland. And one day Columbia will probably be like the Riviera. Cuba might be like the Riviera as well. I don't know. My kind probably will not be involved. And then invited, I should say. And then you'll see them in Kentucky at the Beaver Dam. Bloss was really good on Rockstar. He overshowed Wahlberg. Yeah, well, Bloss is a scene stealer. Okay, he is really the sexiest man alive, not Brad Pitt. And if Bloss wasn't married at the time, he would have stooped Jennifer Aniston, Rachel from Friends. I know you've been busy. Any chance you checked your P.O. box lately? I'm hoping you get my care package, Horror Chick 71. I'm so excited. I have not been able to check my package lately, but I will tomorrow before I go out of town. And anyone else would like to send me things to my package, to my box, or put your package in my box, whatever you like, we can do that. I appreciate it. I had a thought about that. Oh, Mark Sanchez, if he's still watching, he commissioned a painting of me. I'm so excited to see this painting. People don't paint fast. I'm honored. Not many people can say they have their own line of some assembly required action figures. I do. Here's one right here. This is my sexy pose. The face is exact. It was scanned from my face. The package, they didn't get an exact scan. The abs are correct, anatomically correct. And the backside is, oh, Jesus. Wow. Well, hopefully that doesn't, I hope this isn't like a voodoo doll or sign of things to come. Anyway, well, this one's half off right now, if anyone would like it. Anyway, I'll check the mail. Jason, Brittany Fox, please. Well, that's not easy. I've been working on it behind the scenes. Johnny D from Brittany Fox is going to be on the Monsters Cruise. I'll talk to him. Why does Eddie Trunk get so many gigs hosting? I had no idea. Nobody cares. When he's boring, people want to see the Cherry Pie Girl. I know Eddie's a nice guy, but Cherry Pie Girl would be much better. Silence sometimes might be better. Did you get your room assignment for the cruise? Yes, I'd like to give it to you right now. Yes, I got my room assignment. Doug Pinn at King's X could happen. Please get Dean back to Brittany Fox. Like, I can't make miracles, but I can try. Oh my God, yeah, for the FTW shout out. Excuse me. Wow, I've never seen Jason upset. Really shocked. Good day, mate. This is Crocodile Dundee. Curious to know if you own any trauma memorabilia. Of course, yeah. I've got all kinds of stuff. I have original this, original that. Most of it's in New York City with my mother because she's such a big trauma fan. There's a Toxie mask right, right there, and there's all kinds of other stuff from my time at trauma. Jason Holstein is correct. Nobody gives two fucks about the other two fucks. Exactly. Nobody cares. Get over it. Stay home if you want. You don't have to go. Oh, and I will be also be a Yankees fan. If any, yes, we're playing. There's a Steven show at Fenway Park. It's not in Fenway Park. It's at Fenway Park. It's not the Fenway Park. It's a Fenway Park. But yes, I will not wear my Yankees hat, but I will be there. There is a reason only Stephen and Warren plan together. Think about it. Thank you, Brian. Brian, thank you for offering some common sense in a day when when common sense is not always so common. I'd rather see Matt on bass, Uncle Funk. Me too. By leaps and bounds. Here's Go Pack again. He's still confused. Been watching for minutes. I'm interesting. Help me know who I'm watching. Now there's a bio on here, but my name is Jason Green, and I am a broadcaster here on the world of YouTube, on the World Wide Web, www. You don't have to add that anymore. And I've spent my life in the field of entertainment, and I am currently the tour manager for Stephen Piercy and Piercy D. Martini project. And this is a really fun show for all of your one-stop pop culture needs. Okay, Go Pack? I think I've said it all. How about a Robin Crosby hologram? Well, you never know. Jason's keeping it real. Someone's got to keep it real around here. These people should go see Stephen Warren when you can. Hey, well, that's the other thing. Look, you don't know how long this is going to last. I don't know how long it's going to last. Let's see. Stupid question, stupid comment, stupid. Okay. When are you going to release the Biloxi casino footage? That's a great question. Don't even remember being there. It'll be out sometime. Any idea if RATT will tour Canada? I'm in Montreal. I would love to see them here. Well, I don't know about RATT because presently there is no RATT. Stephen Piercy's solo band will be performing with Vince Neil of the Vince Neil Five or Motley Crue. and they would be performing in a place called Ontario, which you could make it from Montreal to Ontario. If I can make it from Las Vegas to, and you better hurry because your country is about to become our state. So I'm not doing it, but I support you, by the way, and I'm very familiar that you invented hockey and that it is not stolen or whatever. Is the world real? What's happening? Your video is on the YouTube channel Typo Lives. Well, if it's the entire video, I'm going to get my legal team on them because you should not do that. If it was clips, it's okay. And listen, I'm happy that Typo fans want to see it, but go do your own interview or put a link to mine. Legal department. My legal department is fierce too. I'm not joking. They will shut it down. Shut it down. Did Johnny end up selling? Who the hell knows? Who knows? He told me he's selling everything, and then he bought 20 more guitars. Who knows? Hunk of the month. That's Bustle Ass. Look at this, Mark Sanchez. He's promising it'll be an amazing painting. I mean, I've never had a painting commissioned of me. I've had a few stick figure drawings and things like that. Mark Merrill, thank you so much. This is a Canadian a tip. Listen, Mark, that's very generous. When we take your country, that's you're going to need this though. I, of course, am being funny. Or to some of you, not. To some of you uptight people, I am not. Yes, the new Jason Green and diabetes action figure. Very true. My feet are fantastic. I showed you if you'd like to see my feet. My oh, Jesus. These are fantastic feet. They really are. Begin to look from this side. These are really perfect feet. I mean, most people would be lucky to have feet like me, especially as a diabetic. Okay, there's no, there's nothing. There's no scars. There's no damage. These are perfect feet. Notice, and they look better from the other side, but I can't turn like that. Hold on. Notice that this toe is not longer than this toe. These are beautiful feet. And listen, by the way, if you ladies watching, you ladies want to pleasure yourself to my feet. Well, let me stop you. Fellas, you can too. That's free, by the way. And I think worth a subscription. Okay, now let's get serious here. Where were we? Michael Kelly Smith from Brittany Fox is my kid's teacher for about 20 years. Amazing. I'm talking about having him on the show. Yankees can have facial hair now. What a world. Yes, I know, but they still have to shave their pubes, I heard. Tubi has a Toxic Avenger movie. For those of you who would like to watch the Toxic Avenger with me, we're going to do a party, a pajama party. We're all going to put on our PJs. You've already seen my feet. And wait till you see my balls. But we're going to have this amazing pajama party. We're going to watch the Toxic Avenger start to finish. And I'll give you a dialogue from people who know what they know. As for drummers, Blas over Blotz. Couldn't agree more. Okay, I'm totally lost, but hanging on. Well, someone in the comments will help you. And you check some other things. And if you enjoy it, Go Pack, please subscribe. I would enjoy that. Thank you. And if you're not into feet, there's other things on this show. I see Stephen received a gift from a, what is that, a clown? Chase Money Productions. Did he enjoy it? I'm not sure. He enjoys most gifts, though. But the greatest gift is the gift of life. Sometimes the greatest gift we'll get this year is life. Wise man once said that. Maybe a Jerry Dixon, Stephen Sweet interview. Stephen Sweet told me he was going to do it. And then he started to do what the chicks do. He started ghosting me. And Jerry Dixon's pretty reclusive, but I think he would do it. How's Oz Fox doing? Camp has been quiet. Oz Fox is hanging in there and he's still able to play. Somebody asked about Stanley. He's doing Stanley things. He's texted me multiple times today. God, I said I was going to do an hour 20. The super chaps. I'm getting annoyed with some of these people in here, by the way. Would you interview Mike Tramp from White Lion? Lion spelled Lion, not Lyon. Yes, we're talking all the time. I really am a fan of White Lion. I think Mike Tramp is underrated as well, believe it or not. And yes, we're talking. We're just trying to find the best time to do it. Would you rather have the best-selling bass funk instrumentalist in Burbank history or the other seventh voice related by marriage of Chili? Well said. Matt Thorne all day, every day. Oh, okay, he gets it now. Sorry, Go Pack. Well, welcome to the welcome home. Okay, okay, what's happening here? I'm trying to. Uh, huh. Okay, I'm trying. Oh, AZ is here. Hello, AZ. That was my Big Bopper impression. Will you do waste some time just being live in person events and day or auction off pizza with you at the Rainbow? I would like to. I would like to do it. I saw this band that's terrible, and one of the members does this thing where you can come visit him and he'll pick you up on his car and take you out. I don't know how to drive, so you'd have to pick me up. But I thought about it. Maybe me and Johnny in his car that has 200,000 miles on it. I probably said something that offended Johnny today. He's probably not speaking to me anymore. Um, but yeah, but we'll do it. I think they call it in this world. For those of you who don't know, especially GoPack, who's new here, I'm an influencer, and I would like to do those things. I like to have a meetup, and what they call those influencer meetups, not feed ups. That's what I did earlier. Oh, look at all these super chats. Well, you guys, I could stay all night. Yes, stop asking about those other two. They're not coming. It's also not my decision. Meet up at M3 could be. M3 is going to be a tough trip for me, but maybe the day before. But that's going to be tough. But it could happen. If we should start doing like little roll calls. Who's coming to what shows? And maybe we could do it. SM, I love you, buddy, but the foot thing is uncalled for. But listen, it's not for everybody. But you have to admit, they're nice feet. Okay. Wow, did I make it? Did I get through all of the comments already? Did I be here forever? The most influential influencer. Oh, absolutely. The most influential influencer in the history of influence. The GoPack would like me to help his band. He's frustrated with his band right now. Well, now's your chance to plug it. All right. And how about a meetup at the end? Wait, hold on. I was about to leave. And here comes Saber Crunch. Have you met anyone from the Howard Stern show? See you in Bethel, New York. Bethel, New York, also known as Woodstock. I've met everyone from the Howard Stern show multiple times. And Craig Gass, who's been on the Howard Stern show, he's been on this show and he's a friend. And yeah, and I've met them all at different times. Hey, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate all you guys. You know, I don't think I would do this. I mean, I do enjoy it, but this is a business just like everything else. And you guys are so supportive. I mean that. That wasn't mucky pup, as the kids say. Might go to that show this year too. Well, we'll do it. We need to do like an expo, and we should have all of the characters from the show there as well, which would be the lovely and talented Michelle, and Johnny of Monaco, and the funkiest funk in Burbank, Matt Thorne. Excuse me. His Royal Wednesday 13. Sean Clark, Malfunk Sean, all of them. If I left anyone out, oh well. Have you worked with James Kotak? So much missed. So James Kotak was I don't like to talk bad about the dead, but he's known to have a drink. He's what they call a drunk. And I worked on an award show that I directed. And he was kind of a dick to me. And I told him, listen, I was a better host than he. He was trying to host some after. He was terrible. And I said to him, look, I don't. I'm a fan of Kingdom Come. You know, I was also a fan of Led Zeppelin the first time around they did it. Anyway, I'm sorry he's dead. But Mickey D, now that's my guy. You rock, Jason. Well, thank you. I tried to not just be a rock, but also a roll. Oh, wait, hold on. I hit that by accident, but it was very nice. Thanks, Jason. Love your show. What you're doing. Love your guests, maybe my guest jeans, or just my guests, maybe is what you mean. Love your attitude. Peace. Peace out. Drop the mic. I don't have a mic, but I do have a Jason Green action figure. Peace. Oh, Jesus. I'm going to have to wrap up in a minute. I met Eric, the little person. Can't call him that word anymore. I met him. Yeah, yeah, at a Great White RATT concert. How about that? I'll host it at the arcade. Well, that might be good. Here's John Major, or as I like to call him, Major John. Hey, Jason, good to see you. I don't actually mind the feet, but that was graphic, aggressive SCTV 3D feet. All right, maybe I was feeling the moment, and I wanted you to know that I don't always wear pants when I do this show. I like to be all natural with my audience. I bet you most of you aren't wearing pants right now. I bet most of your feet are exposed, and I wanted to share in the exposure. And listen, I've got great feet. That wasn't a good angle for them, but listen, it is what it is. What it is. Uh, Close to 300 people watching. I barely got to everything I wanted to. I swore I'm only going to do uh, um, 1 hour on Monday. And what happens? I start talking, and you guys start showing me the money. Next thing I know, my feet are out. Ooh. Uh, yeah, see, everyone in the audience is talking about now what they're wearing. It's almost like we're speed dating. You and I, the audience, are speed dating. Anyway, did we have fun? Let's be honest. Did we have fun? Suzanne says wasting time without pants. That is the new name of the show. You're too good to us, Jason. Well, I try, and I try to give you quality entertainment. I try not to make fun, but not too much funny. Uh, Let me think. Are you old enough to remember when America used to fight against Nazis? Well, yeah, it was about a half hour ago. They got these cars they drive now. Yeah, I remember. Uh, I'll always remember and never forget. Please remember and never forget. That's from a TV show called One Day at a Time is Before Your Time. And one day I will be at that filming location. I'm getting distracted. I got to get to work in a second. Yeah, dinner's paid for. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I'm trying to diet before the cruise. I leave in 6 days. I need to lose about 30 pounds. I think I could do it. If you guys would just super chat for the Slim Fast enema that I'm going to be doing every day until then. All right. And Lorraine, you remember Schneider. Well done. I'm impressed. If there was a prize tonight, you would win it besides my feet. Clint says, we had fun. Tell Jason you got your own action figure now. You need your own Matchbox. I don't even understand. Don't know, and don't know. All right, I think it's time. Unless you guys want to pay for my what do you call that shit? Liposuction. Unless you guys, because I got to hurry. I want to go down the slide on the cruise, but I don't want people to see my breasts, my feet. Hey, I'm fine. But let's see. Valley Brindley was your crush. Lorraine wants to pick up her prize on the cruise. Well, I'll find something for you. Probably a date with Johnny of Monaco. No, I don't know. He might be angry on that cruise. All right, I think we did it. Did you guys have fun? We got through it together. Uh, California Dreaming says she's too poor for cruises, so she would live vicariously through the videos. Well, it's going to be good, and I'm sorry you can't be there, but blah, 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 blah. Thank you. All right, everybody. Did you have fun? Did you get everything you came for? Was it worth your time? Oh, Lorraine wants one of my picks. Well, I have exclusive Monsters of Rock picks. I don't think I talked about it, but you're going to get one, Lorraine. Yes. All right. Well, Uh, I will see you live Wednesday, same time, same channel. And again, thank you for watching.